Dr. Kethver stood before the massive viewing screen in the observation deck of the research vessel, Harmony of Stars. The blue marble of Earth hung in the darkness below, slowly turning as it orbited its yellow sun. For 3 months now, he had been watching this small world and its strange inhabitants. The Zephyrian scientist adjusted his long, pale fingers on the control panel. His large black eyes reflected the planet's surface as clouds swirled over the continents. This was his life's work, studying primitive species and helping them grow beyond their violent nature. In his 200 years of life, he had guided 7 different civilizations toward peace and wisdom. Earth would be his 8th success. Dr. Kethver called his assistant, Nethera, from across the room. "The High Council wants your daily report." Kethver nodded and activated the communication device. The holographic images of the 5 council members appeared before him. Each wore the traditional white robes of the Zephyrian collective, their faces calm and patient as always. Council members Kethver began with a respectful bow. "I bring good news about the humans of Earth." High Counselor Velthor, the eldest among them, leaned forward. "Tell us what you have learned, Dr. Kethver." "The humans show great promise," Kethver said, bringing up images on his screen. "They create beautiful art and music. They write stories that show deep emotions. They care for their young and form strong family bonds. Yes, they fight wars and hurt each other, but this is normal for a primitive species. With our guidance, they can overcome these violent tendencies." The council members exchanged glances. Counselor Murthan spoke next. "What about their technology level?" "Very basic," Kethro replied. "They've only just learned to split the atom. They've sent a few small ships to their moon, but they cannot travel between stars. They're computers. Our simple machines, compared to ours, still use fossil fuels for energy. By our standards, they are at least 500 years behind our current technology and their military capabilities." Asked Counselor Zeterin. Kethver pulled up another set of data. "They have nuclear weapons, but only enough to destroy their own planet once or twice. Their space weapons are non-existent.
Oh.
Their largest ships barely leave their atmosphere. They pose no threat to anyone but themselves." High Counselor Velthor stroked his chin thoughtfully. "Dr. Kethver, in your professional opinion, are the humans worth saving?" Kethver did not hesitate. "Absolutely, High Counselor. I have spent weeks studying their cultural transmissions, what they call television, radio, and internet communications. These humans have something special. They dream of exploring the stars. They imagine meeting other species in peace. They create stories about working together to solve problems. Their hearts are in the right place, even if their actions are sometimes wrong." He paused and brought up images of human children playing together, human artists creating sculptures, human scientists working in laboratories. "Look at these images," he continued. "Human children of different skin colors playing together without hatred. Human artists expressing beauty and hope through their creations. Human scientists working day and night to cure diseases and help their people. Yes, they also make weapons and fight wars, but every species goes through this phase. With proper guidance, they can move beyond it." Counselor Lethona, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. "What do you propose, Dr. Kethver?" "Same approach we have always used," Kethver answered confidently. "First, we observe and learn their languages and customs. Then we begin subtle interventions, preventing their most dangerous accidents, stopping asteroids that might hit their planet, leaving small pieces of technology for them to find and study. Slowly, we guide them toward peace and wisdom." "And if they resist our guidance?" asked Counselor Murthan. Kethver smiled, showing his confidence. "High Counselor, in my 200 years of life, I have never met a species that resisted wisdom when it was offered with patience and kindness. The humans may be stubborn, but they are not stupid. They will see the benefits of our way of life." High Counselor Velthor stood up from his chair. "Very well, Dr. Kethver. The Council approves your request to begin the observation phase. You have 6 months to study the humans and prepare a detailed report on their culture, technology, and psychology. After that, we will decide whether to move forward with contact." "Thank you, High Counselor," Kethver said with another bow. I will not disappoint you. The holographic images faded away, leaving Kethfer alone with his assistant Nethera. Do you really think the humans can be saved? Nethera asked. They seem so violent compared to the other species we have helped. Kethfer looked back at the earth spinning slowly below them. Nethera, every species appears violent when they are young. Crithians were warriors who conquered half their continent before we helped them find peace. The Valonians destroyed 3 of their own cities with chemical weapons before we guided them to wisdom. The humans are no different. He walked to the viewing window and placed his hand against the transparent metal. What the humans need is not judgment, but understanding. They need teachers, not conquerors. They need hope, not fear. We will give them all of these things, and in return, they will become our friends and allies among the stars. Nethera nodded, but something in her large eyes suggested doubt. What if we are wrong about them? Kethfer turned to face her, his expression kind but firm. Nethera, we are never wrong about these things. Zephyrian Way has worked for 1,000 years. It will work with the humans too. It's outside the ship. Earth continued its slow rotation, unaware that it was being watched, studied, and judged by beings from the stars. 3 months had passed since Dr. Kethfer began his study of Earth. The observation station hidden in the asteroid belt hummed quietly as it collected data from the blue planet below. Kethfer felt confident about his progress. He had learned 5 human languages and understood their basic social structures. The time had come to begin the next phase. Nethera, prepare the intervention protocols, Kethfer said as he reviewed his notes. We will start with small actions, just as we did with the Carithians. His assistant nodded and activated the ship's systems. What should we target first, Dr. Kethfer? Kethfer pointed to a location on the Earth map displayed on their screen. There is a nuclear power plant in a place called Chernobyl. Our sensors show it will have a dangerous accident in the next few days. We will prevent it by adjusting their cooling systems remotely. And then, there's an asteroid heading toward Earth that will arrive in 6 months. It is not large enough to destroy the planet, but it could kill millions of humans. We will change its path slightly so it misses Earth completely. Kethfer smiled with satisfaction. The humans will never know we helped them. The next few weeks went according to plan. The Zephyrians prevented the nuclear accident by sending a small pulse of energy that fixed the damaged cooling system. They used their gravity manipulators to push the asteroid away from Earth. They even stopped a few smaller disasters, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and dangerous storms. But something strange began to happen. Dr. Kethfer Nethera called. Out one morning, her voice filled with confusion. You need to see this? Kethfer hurried to her station. On the screen was a transmission from Earth, from what appeared to be a human military facility. We have detected unusual energy signatures in the following locations, a human voice was saying. The patterns suggest artificial intervention in natural disasters. Recommend increased surveillance of near-Earth space. Kethfer frowned. Could they detect our interventions? Technology is far beyond their understanding. That is not all, Nethera said. She switched to another transmission. This is from their space agency. They are discussing the asteroid that we moved. A different human voice spoke. The trajectory change of asteroid 2019XB7 defies all natural explanations. The object changed course by exactly 0.3 degrees, not enough to suggest a collision with another object, but precisely the amount needed to avoid Earth impact. We recommend investigating possible artificial causes. Kethfer felt a chill run down his spine. These humans were paying attention to details that other species never noticed. Show me more, he said quietly. For the next hour, Nethera displayed transmission after transmission. Human scientists were discussing energy patterns that matched their interventions. Human astronomers were tracking objects in space with surprising accuracy. Human military personnel were developing new sensors specifically designed to detect what they called anomalous activities. This is impossible, Kethfer muttered. They should not be able to see our work, but the evidence kept growing. Human. Observatories around the world were sharing data about unexplained phenomena in space. Their computers were running complex calculations to predict where the next interventions might occur. Most disturbing of all, they were getting better at it. Dr. Nathera said, her voice now showing fear. Look at this transmission from yesterday. On the screen appeared a human woman in a military uniform. She was speaking to what appeared to be a room full of scientists and officers. Ladies and gentlemen, the woman said, based on our analysis of the past 3 months, we believe Earth is under observation by an unknown intelligence. The pattern of interventions suggests a technologically advanced species that is studying us while preventing major disasters. The room erupted in excited chatter. The woman continued, we have calculated the most likely locations for their observation posts. We recommend launching deep space probes to investigate these areas. Kethfer felt his hands shaking. Dethera, check our position against their calculations. His assistant worked quickly at her console. After a few minutes, she looked up with terror in her large black eyes. Dr. Kethfer, their primary target area includes our exact location. That is impossible, Kethfer said, but his voice lacked conviction. They do not have the technology to detect us from this distance. Sir, Nethera said quietly, there is more. She showed him another transmission. This time, it was from a human scientific facility. A human man with white hair was speaking to a group of younger humans. The beings watching us are clearly more advanced than we are, the man said. But they are also predictable. They follow patterns. They prevent disasters, but do not make direct contact. This suggests they are studying us the same way we might study animals in the wild. One of the younger humans raised her hand. Dr. Patterson, if they are studying us, what can we learn by studying them? The older human smiled. Excellent question, Sarah. If we can understand their technology well enough, we might be able to reverse engineer it. Every intervention they make teaches us something about their capabilities. Kethfer felt his world turning upside down. These humans were not just noticing the interventions. They were learning from them. They were studying the Watchers. Nathara, bring up our technological gift protocols, he said urgently. Gift protocols, sir? The plan was to leave small pieces of our technology for them to find. Simple things. Better computer circuits, improved energy storage, basic medical devices. Things that would help them advance without giving away too much. Nathera activated the protocols and showed him the list of technologies they planned to introduce. These should take them decades to fully understand and implement. Cancel all of them, Kethfer said immediately. Sir, cancel them all, Nathera. Do not leave any technology for these humans to find. But why, Dr. Kethfer? The technological gifts have always worked with other species. Kethfer stared at the Earth on his screen. For the first time in his long career, he felt uncertain about his methods. Because, he said slowly, I am beginning to think that these humans might be different from every other species we have encountered. They are not just watching the sky and hoping for help from the stars. They are studying the sky and learning how to reach the stars themselves. He paused and looked at his assistant. And I think they might be learning faster than we expected. Outside, their ship, Earth, continued its rotation. But now Kethfer knew that the humans down there were watching back, learning and planning. The hunters had become the hunted, and neither side was sure who would win this strange new game. Dr. Kethfer stood before the High Council once again, but this time his confidence was gone. 6 months had passed since his last report, and everything had changed. The holographic images of the 5 council members showed their concern as they waited for his update. What has happened with the humans? Kethfer took a deep breath. Counselor, I must request permission to move to the next phase immediately. The humans have detected our presence. Counselor. Murthon leaned forward. Detected? How is that possible? Our cloaking technology has never failed before. Their detection methods are unlike anything we have seen, Kethfer explained. They do not see our ships directly. Instead, they study the effects of our actions. They tracked the energy signatures we left behind. They are sending investigation probes toward our location. But more importantly, they are preparing for contact. The image on the screen showed human activity around their planet. Space stations were being built. New satellites were being launched. Large radio dishes were being pointed at the stars. High Counselor Kethfer continued, I believe we must make contact now, before they force contact on us. If we approach them as the advanced species offering guidance, we can still control the situation. High Counselor Velthor considered. This. Very well, Dr. Kethfer. You have permission to make contact with their leaders. Follow standard protocol. Approach their most advanced governments. Thank you, High Counselor. I will begin immediately. 2 weeks later, Kethfer found himself in a strange building on Earth's surface. The humans called it the United Nations, and it was where their world leaders gathered to discuss important matters. He sat at a large table, surrounded by human representatives from different countries. The humans were smaller than Zephyrians, with shorter lifespans and more varied appearances. But their eyes held an intelligence that made Kethfer feel uncomfortable. They watched him with the same intensity that he had once used to watch them. Dr. Kethfer, said the human woman who led the meeting, we appreciate you coming forward to make contact. We have been aware of your presence for some time. We wanted to understand you before making contact. A human man with gray hair spoke next. What have you learned about us? We would like to offer our guidance to help your species advance peacefully. The human woman smiled, but there was something sharp in her expression. That is very generous. What kind of guidance do you have in mind? Kethfer opened a small device and projected holographic images of Zephyrian technology. We can share knowledge that will help you develop clean energy, cure diseases, and travel more efficiently through space. In return, we ask only for the opportunity to study your culture and establish friendship between our peoples. The humans around the table began talking quietly among themselves. After a few minutes, the woman spoke again. Dr. Kethfer, we would be very interested in this technology exchange. We have some questions about your energy systems, of course, Kethfer said, feeling relieved. This was going exactly as planned, but the questions that followed were not. What he expected? Kethfer blinked in surprise. We observed the effects when you moved the asteroid, the scientist replied calmly. We calculated the energy requirements and deduced the most likely method. Another human scientist continued. We noticed the communication delays between your ship and other locations were too short for normal. Radio transmission. Kethfer felt his hands beginning to shake. You understood our communication system by watching us. Not completely, a third human admitted. The human woman reached under the table and pulled out a device that looked remarkably similar to Zephyrian communication technology. It took us 4 months to build this. Kethfer stared at the device. In horror, that is impossible. That technology took our species 300 years to develop. We had an advantage, the woman said with a smile. We had teachers. You, she said simply. Every time you used your technology near Earth, you taught us something new. Every intervention you made showed us what was possible. May not be as advanced as you are, but we are very good at learning. The meeting continued for several hours, but Kethfer barely heard the rest of it. The humans were not asking for technology like children begging for gifts. They were discussing technology like equals comparing notes. They understood concepts that should have been completely beyond their grasp. Zephyrian designs in ways that Kethfer had never considered. When the meeting ended, Kethfer was escorted to a guest facility where he could rest and contact his ship. As soon as he was alone, he activated his communication device. Nethera. He said urgently, prepare for immediate departure. Sir. Did the meeting not go well? The meeting went perfectly, Kethfer said, and the irony in his voice was clear. Too perfectly. These humans are not students waiting for teachers. What? Do you mean? New buildings under construction, strange aircraft in the sky, satellites being launched into orbit. I mean, he said slowly, that we may have made the biggest mistake in Zephyrian history. Instead, we have given a highly intelligent species everything they needed to become our equals. He paused and watched a human spacecraft launch from a nearby facility. It was using technology that looked suspiciously similar to Zephyrian designs, but with improvements that made it faster and more efficient. And I think, he added, quietly, they may not be content to remain our equals for very long. 6 months after first contact? Dr. Kethver stood in his laboratory aboard the Harmony of Stars, staring at a device that should not exist. It was a small metal cube, no larger than his fist, but it contained technology that made his hands tremble. The humans had called it a friendship gift during their last diplomatic meeting. Nethera, he called to his assistant, run the analysis again. Dr. Kethver, I have run it 12 times already. The results are always the same. Nethera's voice carried a fear that had become common among the crew. This device contains our own faster-than-light drive technology, but it is 30% more efficient than our best designs. Kethver picked up the cube and turned it over in his hands. How long did they say it took them to build this? 3 weeks, sir? 3 weeks? Kethver set the device down carefully. It took our greatest scientists 50 years to perfect this technology, and the humans improved it in 3 weeks. The communication panel buzzed with an incoming message. Kethver activated it, and the image of a human appeared on the screen. It was Dr. Sarah Patterson, the young scientist he had met during the first diplomatic contact. Hello, Dr. Kethver, she said with a bright smile. I hope you received our gift safely. Yes, Dr. Patterson, we are, studying it carefully. Wonderful. I was calling because we have something exciting to show you. We've been working on a project based on the technology exchanges, and we think you'll find it very interesting. Kethver felt a familiar chill. Every time the humans said they had something interesting to show, it meant they had done something. That should have been impossible. What kind of project? He asked cautiously. It's easier to show than explain. Could you meet us at the space station tomorrow? We have a surprise for you. After the transmission ended, Kethver sat in silence for several minutes. Finally, he spoke to his assistant, Nethera. Contact the High Council. Tell them I need to. Speak with them immediately. An hour later, the Council's holographic images surrounded him once again. This time, all 5 members looked deeply concerned. Dr. Kethver, High Counselor Velthor, began. Your reports have been... disturbing. Tell us your current assessment of the situation. Kethver took a deep breath. High Counselor, we have lost control of this mission. The humans are no longer following our guidance. They are leading. Explain, said Counselor Murthan sharply. Every piece of technology we have shared with them, they have improved. Every scientific principle we have taught them, they have expanded upon. They are not learning from us. They are using us as a starting point for their own discoveries. Kethvar activated his display and showed images of human technological advancement. Look at these ships, he said. 6 months ago, the humans could barely reach their own moon. Now they have vessels that can travel faster than light. Look at their space stations. They are using artificial gravity systems that we do not understand. Look at their weapons. They have created defensive shields that can stop our own energy weapons. Counselor Zeterin leaned forward. Are you saying they pose a military threat? I am saying they pose an existential threat, Kethver replied, but not in the way you think. He switched to another set of images. These are sensor readings from around our territory. The past month, we have detected unknown ships near 14 of our observation posts throughout the galaxy. The council members looked shocked. Counselor Lathana spoke for the first time. Unknown ships? From which species? Human ships? Kethver said quietly. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, High Counselor Velthor found his voice. That is impossible. Humans have only known about faster-than-light travel for 6 months. They cannot have built ships capable of reaching our other territories, and yet they have, Kethver said. More than that, they have been observing our other contact missions. We believe they have been studying how we interact with different species across the galaxy. He brought up another image. This transmission was intercepted near the Carithian system. It is in human language. The council listened as a human voice spoke. Observation Post 7 to command. The Zephyrians are using the same contact protocols. Here, as they used on Earth, recommend we make contact with the local species and offer alternative technological development paths. Counselor Murthan stood up abruptly. They are interfering with our missions. Worse, Kethver replied. They are competing with our missions. The humans are not content to be guided by us. They want to become guides themselves. He showed them. The final image, a star map with markers showing human ship movements. Based on our tracking data, the humans have visited 43 star systems in the past month. They are making contact with species we have never even discovered. They are establishing their own network of alliances and technology exchanges. And what do these other species think of the humans? Asked Counselor Zeteran. Kethfer hesitated. According to our intelligence, most species find the humans ... refreshing. Refreshing? Like us, the humans do not position themselves as superior teachers. They approach other species as potential partners. They offer technology exchanges rather than guidance, ask for friendship rather than obedience. The communication panel suddenly activated. The image of Dr. Sarah Patterson appeared again. It's Dr. Kethfer, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've moved up our timeline. We have visitors. Here who would like to meet you. Behind Dr. Patterson, Kethfer could see other figures moving around. As the camera angle shifted, he realized with horror that he was looking at representatives from a dozen different species that the Zephyrians had been observing or planning to contact. You see, Dr. Patterson continued, we've been talking with our new friends about the Zephyrian contact methods. They've shared some very interesting stories about your species' approach to first contact. One of the alien figures stepped forward, a tall blue-skinned being that Kethfer recognized as a Valonian. Dr. Kethfer, the Valonian, said, the humans have told us that you have been watching us for over 200 years without making contact. They have offered to help us develop our own space travel technology so we can meet you as equals rather than subjects. The transmission ended, leaving Kethfer staring at a blank screen. Around him, the council members sat in stunned silence. Finally, High Counselor Velthor spoke. Dr. Kethfer, in your professional opinion, what should our response be? Kethfer looked at each council member in turn. High Counselor, for the first time in my career, I do not know. The humans have changed the rules of the game, and I am no longer sure we understand how to play. He paused and looked back at the star map, showing human ship movements. What I do know is this. 6 months ago, we thought we were studying a primitive species that needed our guidance. Today, that species is teaching other civilizations how to surpass us. The students have not just become the teachers, they have become the principals of a school we did not even know existed. 1 year had passed since Dr. Kethfer first contacted Earth. Now he stood in a room. He never thought he would see the Galactic Assembly Hall on a space station built by humans. Around him sat representatives from 47 different species, including 5 Zephyrian council members who had come to attend this historic meeting. The humans had called it the First Galactic Partnership Conference. Dr. Kethfer called it the end of the Zephyrian way of life. Friends and colleagues, announced Dr. Sarah Patterson from the central platform. Welcome to humanity's gift to the galaxy, a place where all species can meet as equals to share knowledge and build friendships. Kethfer watched as species that the Zephyrians had spent centuries carefully observing and slowly guiding now sat together as partners. The blue-skinned Valonians shared technology with the crystalline Netherians. Plant-like Grorians exchanged cultural information with the energy beings called Luxites. And at the center of it all were the humans, somehow managing to communicate with and coordinate between species that had never even known of each other's existence. High Counselor Velthor, who had traveled here personally, leaned over to Kethfer. How did this happen so quickly? Kethfer shook his head. They do not follow our rules, High Counselor. We believed that advanced species must guide primitive ones slowly and carefully. The humans believe that all intelligent species should help each other immediately and openly. On the platform, a young human man was speaking. The Zephyrian Collective has done wonderful work in their part of the galaxy, he said diplomatically. But we believe there is room for different approaches to galactic civilization. High Counselor Velthor stood up. Young human, the Zephyrian way has brought peace to dozens of worlds. Our careful guidance has prevented wars and saved countless lives. Dr. Patterson smiled respectfully. We honor that achievement, High Counselor. But we have discovered that many species prefer to solve their own problems when given the tools and knowledge to do so. A representative from the Carithian species, one of the first civilizations the Zephyrians had guided, stood to speak. Zephyrians taught us to live in peace, and for that we are grateful. But the humans have taught us to think for ourselves. They have shown us technologies and ideas that have helped us grow beyond what we thought was possible. Kethfer felt a cold weight in his stomach. The Corythians had been one of their greatest success stories. Even they preferred the human approach. Furthermore, the Corythian continued, the humans have introduced us to 17 other species in just 1 year. Under Zephyrian guidance, we met no other civilizations in 300 years. More representatives began to speak. Each one told similar stories. The Zephyrians had helped them achieve peace and basic technological advancement, but the humans had helped them achieve independence and rapid growth. The difference, explained a Valonian scientist, is that the Zephyrians taught us to follow. The humans teach us to lead. Counselor Velthor sat down heavily. Around the room, Kethfer could see other Zephyrian observers looking equally stunned. Their entire philosophy of careful, slow guidance was being rejected in favor of rapid, open cooperation. Dr. Patterson returned to the platform. Which brings us to today's main topic, she said. We would like to propose the formation of a galactic partnership network, a system that allows all member species to share technology, resources, and knowledge freely.
Activated.
She activated a holographic display that showed a three-dimensional map of local space. Colored lines connected dozens of star systems, showing trade routes, communication networks, and alliance agreements. As you can see, Dr. Patterson continued, we've already established preliminary connections between most of the species in this region. The network has allowed for rapid technological advancement, peaceful conflict resolution, and cultural exchange on a scale never before achieved. Kethfer stared at the map in disbelief. In 1 year, the humans had created a galactic civilization that surpassed anything the Zephyrians had built in 1,000 years of careful work. What role would the Zephyrian collective play in this network? High Counselor Veltar asked, though his voice sounded tired. The same role as everyone else, Dr. Patterson replied. Full partners with equal voice and equal access to shared knowledge. We believe the Zephyrian expertise in careful observation and peaceful contact would be valuable to the network. You are offering us membership in our own galaxy? Counselor Murthan asked, and there was anger in his voice. We are offering you partnership in a galaxy that belongs to all of us, a human diplomat corrected gently. The age of any single species guiding or controlling others is over. The age of cooperation has begun. The meeting continued for several more hours, but Kethfer knew the outcome was already decided. Species after species voted to join the human-proposed network. Even some Zephyrian territories expressed interest in becoming independent members rather than remaining under collective guidance. That evening, Kethfer found himself alone with Dr. Patterson in an observation deck overlooking the stars.
Doctor.
Kethfer, she said kindly, I hope you understand that this was never meant as an attack on your people. Was it not? Kethfer asked. In 1 year you have dismantled a system that took us a millennium to build. Dr. Patterson looked out at the stars. We studied your methods carefully, Dr. Kethfer. They worked well for their time. But we live in a different time now, a time when faster-than-light communication allows instant cooperation across vast distances, when advanced technology can be shared safely between species. When the galaxy is small enough for all intelligent life to know each other. She turned to face him. Your people gave species the gift of peace. We are trying to give them the gift of potential. Kethfer was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. What happens to the Zephyrian collective now? That depends on you, Dr. Patterson replied. You can join the network as partners and continue to help guide younger species, but as advisors rather than controllers. Or you can remain separate and continue your old methods in whatever territories still accept them. And if we choose neither, if we decide that this human-led galaxy is too dangerous? Dr. Patterson's expression grew serious. Then you withdraw to your own space and hope that the rest of the galaxy leaves you alone. But I should warn you, the network grows larger every day. Soon, there may not be any space left that is not connected to it. That night, Kethfer transmitted his final report to the High Council. It was not the report he had expected to send when this mission began. High Counselor, he said to the holographic image of Velthor, I recommend that the Zephyrian Collective join the Galactic Partnership Network as a full member and abandon our role as guides to primitive civilizations. High Counselor, Kethver said carefully, there are no more primitive civilizations in this region of space. The humans have seen to that. He paused and looked out at the space station. Around him, an impossible structure built in 1 year by a species he had once considered barely capable of reaching their own moon. The humans wanted to understand us, he continued, and they did understand us better than we understood ourselves. They learned our methods, improved on our technology, and then did what we never thought to do. They asked the rest of the galaxy what it wanted, instead of telling it what it needed. And what does the galaxy want? High Counselor Velthar asked. Kethver smiled sadly. The same thing the humans want, High Counselor? The chance to reach for the stars without anyone holding them back? 6 months later, Zephyrian Collective became the 48th member of the Galactic Partnership Network. Dr. Kethver became their first ambassador to the Human Established Council, where he worked alongside the species he had once sought. To guide, now learning from them as much as he taught, the universe had become a very different place. And despite everything, Kethver had to admit that it had become a better one.